This is the Sudan Civil War, a brutal conflict between two former allies that is tearing apart an already struggling nation. In the 69 years since its independence, Sudan has experienced just 10 years of peace, enduring 20 coups, 3 civil wars, a genocide, and ultimately splitting into 2 separate countries. So, what makes Sudan so prone to conflict? What's happening in the latest round of fighting? And is there any hope for peace? Let's explore. A nation divided, geography and history. Sudan, located in northeastern Africa, is one of the continent's largest and most conflict-ridden countries. Originally a single, vast nation, it is now divided into Sudan and South Sudan. The capital, Khartoum, is strategically located where the Blue and White Nile rivers converge. The country's geography and population are sharply divided. The arid north is predominantly Arab Islamic, the largest ethnic and religious group, and they control the military and political institutions. The greener central and southern regions are home to Christians and a diverse array of over 300 other ethnic and religious groups. For centuries, Sudan was under foreign rule by the Egyptians, Ottomans, and British. It gained independence in 1956, but this new freedom immediately plunged the country into chaos. A weak, divided government struggled to contain a civil war that had already begun between the North and South. This instability led to a series of coups, establishing a pattern of military strongmen seizing power from ineffectual governments. The rise of warlords and genocide. One of the most brutal dictators was Omar al-Bashir, who ruled for 3 decades after a 1989 coup. Al-Bashir is infamous for the genocide in Darfur, a western region with a significant black African population alongside its Arab majority. Tensions, exacerbated by climate change and drying farmlands, erupted in 2003. Al-Bashir responded by arming Arab militias, known as the Janjaweed, to crush the rebellion. The result was a genocide that killed an estimated 300,000 people and displaced 3 million. It was during this conflict that 2 men, Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo Hemedi and Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, met and became allies. Hemedi, a man from Darfur, rose through the ranks of the Janjaweed due to his brutal effectiveness. In 2013, he rebranded his forces as the Rapid Support Forces (RSF), securing government funding and official military ranks. He used his forces to gain immense wealth through mercenary work in Libya and Yemen, and by cutting deals with Russia's Wagner Group to exploit Sudan's gold mines. Al-Burhan, on the other hand, was a career military man from the Khartoum elite. He served in the Sudanese Armed Forces (SAF) and was deployed to Darfur, where he allied with Hemedi. The 2 men worked together to suppress the Darfur rebels and coordinate troop deployments overseas. The current conflict, a power struggle in 2019, widespread protests against al-Bashir's rule led to his downfall. Hemedi and al-Burhan, once allies in oppression, teamed up to overthrow him. Initially, they formed a transitional civilian government, but when it proved too weak, they staged another coup in 2021. This coup placed them in an uneasy power-sharing arrangement that ultimately failed. Deadlines for civilian rule were missed, and trust between the 2 leaders completely eroded. In April 2023, a fresh round of fighting erupted, pitting the RSF against the SAF in a brutal struggle for control of the country. This is the largest war you've likely never heard of, sparking the world's largest humanitarian crisis. The battle for control. The war is a clash of 2 very different forces. The RSF, a former militia operating out of their power base in Darfur. The RSF consists mainly of light infantry using rifles, machine guns, and armored pickup trucks called technicals. The SAF, concentrated in the east around Port Sudan. The SAF possesses heavier, albeit old, equipment like tanks, jets, and artillery. The conflict began with the RSF quickly seizing control of key areas in Darfur and the western outskirts of Khartoum. The SAF, spread thin across the country, was caught off guard. The battle for Khartoum. The RSF launched a surprise attack on the capital, taking key locations like the state broadcaster, presidential palace, airport, and central bank. The SAF initially fell back, but a few strongholds within the city held out, supplied by airdrops. The RSF dominated the capital for months, seizing control of most of the city. The SAF counteroffensive, the tide began to turn in the SAF's favor as they secured foreign backing. Egypt, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Iran, and Turkey began providing weapons and support, particularly drones and air power, which the RSF lacks. This external support proved crucial. The SAF launched a counterattack from their stronghold in Port Sudan and from the south, retaking key cities like Wad Madani. In January 2025, they began their push to retake Khartoum. Using drones to guide artillery and airstrikes, they systematically recaptured key bridges, government buildings, and the airport. By March 2025, the SAF declared the capital completely retaken. The human cost and future outlook. While the SAF has gained the upper hand by recapturing the capital, the RSF still controls the western half of the country. The war is far from over, and the human cost has been staggering. Official death toll: over 30,000 military deaths, but the true number is likely much higher. Displaced people: 13 million have been displaced, with 4 million fleeing to neighboring countries. Food insecurity: almost half the population, around 23 million, does not have enough food. The situation is now considered the world's largest humanitarian crisis. Why does Sudan struggle to find peace? Sudan's persistent instability can be attributed to three main factors: sheer size and poor infrastructure. Governing a country this vast with limited resources and basic infrastructure is a monumental challenge, leading to regional factionalism, ethnic and religious divisions, a plethora of different groups with allegiances to tribe and religion rather than the state create a recipe for unrest and conflict. Lack of self-rule experience. A long history of foreign rule has left Sudan with weak institutions and a lack of experience in effective self-governance, making it susceptible to military coups. Mediation efforts have so far failed, and both sides have vowed to continue fighting. While the SAF has regained momentum, the RSF is far from defeated. It seems Sudan is a long way from finding lasting peace.